Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover video of an Auto Trail Scout. So as we start the walk round on the driver's side of the motorhome first, the first locker you'll find is your hookup compartment. So it opens with the tri-mark key and all you need to do is lift it up. So the best thing to do is help it up with your foot and you can help the locker up. You've got the location of your leisure batteries, so you've got two leisure batteries on this model, with it being part of the Frontier range, and these are two 105 amp hour batteries, and then you've got two main battery fuses here, so one will clip into there. So if you're still struggling to get power, this is the last resort, but check that the main battery fuse hasn't gone. So two 20 amp fuses to both batteries. You've got your mains connection point as well. So when you arrive on your site, you'll hook the vehicle up first. Always connect the hookup lead to the van first and then connect it to the live socket, either on the site or at home. Or if you are hooking it up at home, this gives enough time to charge your leisure batteries a few days before you go away and put your fridge on. Waste water outlet is located here as well. So when the waste is full or when you are leaving your site, drive over the waste grid. Sometimes it's just as close to the hedge or gully as possible. Sometimes there's a grid you drive over the service point, and you want to turn and you want to open the waste and allow all the water out, because you don't want to be driving with the added weight of waste water, because it's going to do you no favours. It's going to use more of your payload up, making the vehicle heavier, and it's also going to mean that you're going to use more diesel because you're slightly heavier. So get rid of the dirty water. Great place to store your hookup leads, your levelling ramps, your wellies, your boots, anything that you don't want to get inside the van that's going to get it dirty in there. Round-headed habitation key opens the lockers on the outside of the vehicle. So you've got, this is your cassette locker. So you would lift the orange handle, slide the cassette out of the van, you can either carry it or you can wheel it to the toilet block, where normally the toilet block, near the toilet block, the disposal point's normally beside or behind it. And to empty, you would remove the grey cap, pop that out the way for a moment, tip the contents out, and as you're tipping the contents out, press this button in. This allows a bit of air in, stops it glugging. You'll be able to empty the cassette. There's always a tap there, so just put a bit of water in, give it a rinse, tip out again, then go on with a cap full of chemicals. So this is 120 ml of green or blue, depending on what the site prefers you to use. Or if you're using the tablets, you just put a pint of water into the cassette. The tablets are in like a little cellophane bag, which degrades, and all you need to do is drop one down the toilet and it'll go into the cassette and break up into the liquid. They're just a little bit easier to store than the bottles, but on this size vehicle it doesn't really matter. Here you have your water point. So this is where you would fill the water, so which is used for your taps, toilet, shower, boiler. Get a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap that the site provides. Put your hose in between the grooves there. Look on board the control panel, or just wait until it overflows. Once it overflows, this is full. You can disconnect the hose. Like I say, you can see on the control panel how much water you've got on board, and you also do have a 12-volt point here for a pump, which you can connect into here and put the pump into a bucket of water. So if you can't get water next to the van, you can bring water in a bucket or an aqua roll to the vehicle and you can suck it out and into the main tank. To drain this off, so to drain off your fresh water is located down here. So when winterizing, we always advise that this tap is both outside taps, both grey and blue, are left open so that no water can freeze on board the tanks. But if you've taken on a source of contaminated water or you're not using the vehicle for a while, just open the tap and let your water out. External shower, so it's a cold water fed shower. So it's exactly like a hose pipe. You get a hose pipe end that connects there. On the other end of the hose, you get a trigger gun, so you can hose the dog off, the boots, the bikes, the kids. As the Scout has the back U-shaped lounge, you've got storage underneath here. So you've got your carpets, your awning winding handle, your fridge vents in there. So you've got storage which goes this way, that way, and around the U-shaped lounge. So you can pack all your deck chairs, your kayak, your outdoor table, your windbreaks in the back. There's enough storage for all of that. On the back of the vehicle, you do have your high level brake light, and then built in is your rear view reversing camera. Spare wheel is situated behind this cover. So all of this is GRP plastic. However, to get the wheel out, the emblem of the Auto Trail badge with the key comes off, big nut, lifts the panel off, and there's a full-size spare wheel under there. Same garage access door. You've got your flue for your Aldi heating system. So the Aldi heating system works off gas and electric, but at present we've got a gas bottle on board to test your appliances, so we've got it running on both. So it's only for really when it's on gas you'll get some fumes out of here. On electric you won't, but always make sure that's obstruction free in case you are using it on gas. Next you have your external gas point. So if you're using a kayak or an external barbecue, cable tied to the tap is a quick release connection. So this little end here would go into here, and the ribbed end would go onto your gas pipe. Secure it with a Jubilee clip, connect it into here, and you'll be able to turn the tap on once it's connected, and it will feed your barbecue with gas from the main bottle on board the motorhome. 2 fridge vents, your awning and your awning light. LPG, liquid petroleum gas, this is your gas locker, and to open this you've got to go in the cab door, and behind the passenger seat next to the fire extinguisher there's a lever, lift that up. That will allow the door to be opened, and in there I've got my 6 kilogram propane. So a motorhome is situated and ready to use propane, not butane. So use propane. You can get a 6 and a 13 in there, with it being the bigger gas locker on the Frontier. And then once you've got the bottle on, there's always, you want to tie it in. So make sure you strap round the bottle just so it's safe, secure once it's on board. To connect this pipe here, which is known as the pigtail, it's left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Nip it up with a spanner, turn the cylinder on, and once you've turned it on, just 1 or 2 turns, you don't need to turn it all the way. Press the black stopper on the pigtail, which is a crash valve, which allows the gas from the cylinder past this pointing into the pigtail. And then if you're still not getting gas, just make sure that you haven't set this Truma crash valve off. So that wants to be flush. If that's flush, you're fine. If that's popped out, you need to press it for 10 seconds and it will reset it and stay in and allow the gas to come into the vehicle. Make sure it's turned off before you travel so it's safer for you and other road users should anything happen. Next to the passenger door, you've got your diesel filler, which opens with the main Fiat Ducato key. And underneath, because it's a new style diesel engine, it does have AdBlue, and the AdBlue tank capacity on a Ducato is 19 litres, and it'll do a full 5,500 mile off 19 litres. Once you've done 4 and you've got around 1,500 miles left, you'll get a warning. And you can top this up by going to the petrol station, and on the far pumps you should see AdBlue, and it's about £1.20 a litre, whereas it's around £20 to £25 for 10 litres if you buy it in the containers. So it's far more cost effective to buy it on the pump, and when it overflows it is full. but you can see on the dash how full your AdBlue is. In the cab, on the door of the passenger door, you've got your tyre pressures, so tyre size and pressures, so 79.5 psi front and back. Carb engine battery lives underneath this compartment in the floor. This is loose so we can show you that the battery is underneath there. So if you ever need to change the battery in years to come, if it ever goes, it's underneath the floor, not underneath the bonnet. Underneath the passenger seat is the toolkit, which includes a jacket, a brace, a tow-eye. This pulls off, turn that buckle there and this will slide out and you can remove that from the vehicle. And your bonnet releases here. So having a look underneath the bonnet, on the new Series 8 Ducato, you don't have a oil dipstick for checking the levels. It's all done through the dashboard, and you don't have a reservoir for power steering fluid because it's an electronic steering rack. So it's new for this year. Screen wash, 3 tabs lift this part of the scuttle off and you can fill your coolant. You've got your brake fluid, your oil filler, and then should you need to jump start the vehicle, this is a earth for giving or receiving a jump start. And the cover normally sits down. Put your key into this side or a screwdriver and lift this up, and this is your positive terminal for giving or receiving a jump start. Your weight plate can be found on the front. As this is a Scout, which is part of the Frontier range, like I've said, it's on an Alcor chassis. So the Alcor chassis is designed for motorhomes and caravans. It's 4,500 kilograms gross vehicle weight, and it can tow up to the weight of 6 tonne. So that is the motorhome, and whatever it's towing can't exceed 6,000 kilograms. So when you come into the motorhome, the control panel is situated above the habitation door and is touchscreen. So touch it and it will come on from a black screen, and then you'll be able to turn on the master switch, which is this switch here, which gives 12 volt to the motorhome. If you're hooked up, you'll get this little icon here, and it'll tell you the external and internal temperatures on either side, but it'll tell you that you're hooked up to mains power. So you'll be able to use all mains appliances and sockets on board the motorhome. Underneath you've got the pump, so you can turn the pump on once you've got enough water on board, and that will pressurize the water system. You can check your water levels here, so you can see that we've got 75% of fresh water on board, 0 waste. This bottom one does your battery levels, so you can see that you've got your leisure vehicle, what's currently being used, which is in brackets the leisure. You always want the active battery to be the leisure and never the vehicle, because that's the leisure battery was designed to be the active battery. Solar panel current coming in is always low when hooked up, because 3.2 amps is coming in off the mains hookup, and the solar panel will always go to sleep when hookup is detected. But to get a true reflection of the two batteries, unhook the vehicle and it will give you the resting rates of the leisure and vehicle battery, because when hooked up you do get that false reading. Down the side you've got your lights, so you've got your main switch for your master switch for your lights, and they all are individually switched around the van. Your master switch for your awning light on the outside of the vehicle, and your dimmer. You can press and you can dim the lights down in the motorhome. Go into settings, so you can see that the active battery is the leisure. Don't have it on smart, because smart analyzes both and it'll flick over without you knowing. It's great for the solar to have it on smart, because whatever battery is lower it will flick over. But if you are wanting to charge the engine battery from hookup, you do have to select vehicle. That's great if you're not using it in the winter and you've got it on hookup on the driveway. You can do a week on one, a week on the other, or just put on smart. But when you're using it, you always want the leisure battery to take the brunt of the power that you're using from the motorhome side of the vehicle. Tank fill, if you're filling from a pump, Like I showed you outside, you do have to turn this on to get power to that socket point. And tank heaters, if you're going away in the winter, this will stop the water from freezing in the tanks when using it. When not using it, we recommend that you drain the tanks. You can change the lighting and the screen and the date and time for when the clocks go back and forth. To operate the Aldi control panel, turn on here. You can see that it's currently at 25 degrees inside the motorhome and the fan is circulating the heat round. If you press menu, it'll skip through various pages which I'll show you in a moment, but if you click here first, the plus and the minus, 29 is the selected temperature that I've got the inside of the motorhome set to, so you can set your room temperature, and above is what it's currently at. So you can see it's at 25, but I've got it selected to 29. So it will reach 29 degrees and then it will cut out because it is reached that temperature, and it's got a thermometer within the van which will detect the temperature drop and it will kick back in. Energy source is which energy source you would select. So you can see there that you've got electric on the top, so you've got it on 0 kilowatts, 1 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts which it's on, or 3 kilowatts. So depending on the site ampage will depend whether you can use 1, 2 or 3. Normally you can use 2 on most camping and caravanning clubs that offer a 16 amp feed. Smaller CL sites and abroad you may have to use 1 and 3 on super sites. If you're away in the winter, you can also turn the gas on together to give it a boost for 20 minutes or so, just so that the warming up period is a lot quicker. Or if you're wild camping, you would just have to use gas, which is simple as turn it on and off. Hot water, you can have it off if you've got no water on board, on, or you can turn it on to boost, which is 30 minutes setting, and it will prioritize all the heat to the hot water and turn the heating off. So if you want it to run together, just have it on. Go to the menu, you can set nighttime mode. So nighttime mode is where you select your temperature and your time and what days you want that on. So if you've got it on in the winter on 25 degrees, but 25 degrees might be too much to sleep with it on, and you might want it to 15 or 16, you can program that to start at say 10 o'clock and finish at 7 o'clock, and it'll do the hot water as well for you having a morning shower. And you can have day mode as well. Reset, if you ever get any problems with it, you can press reset and do a reset on the control panel. And that is your Aldi heating and hot water control panel system. In the kitchen area on the Scout, you do have 3 gas burners and 1 electric hot plate. So if you are hooked up, you don't need to waste your gas. You can use the electric hot plate to heat your pan, and that is this one here. Just make sure that that's always off before you hook the vehicle up, because if you hook the vehicle up and you've turned that on with the glass lid down, you will smash the glass as it gets to temperature, because it will get too warm for the glass. And like I say, when you've had the burners on, allow it to cool before you put the glass lid down. But you've got your gas there. So you can see there, 3 burners are lit. Turn them all off, allow them to cool before you put the lid down. Grill. So that is your gas grill on. And under your grill you do have your oven. So always make sure the flat side of the oven shelf is to the front. The back has 2 extra bits on spaces so that the burner isn't blocked. And there's your oven away. If you ever need any parts for your oven going forward, there's a sticker down the side with the oven model number details on, so quote any dealer that you want parts off that numbers and that sticker, just so that you get the right parts for your oven, because there's loads of different Thetford ovens and there's loads of parts for each. So quote that number and we'll be able to get the right parts for you. Push this panel in and you've got, I wouldn't say you've got any storage, but you've got a pipe here for the Aldi system, and the Aldi system runs glycol coolant through the pipe, so it'll get nice and warm here. When I'm in this seat here, we may as well talk about the Aldi fan. So there's a fan located behind the driver's seat. This blows hot air into the cab. You've got a switch here so you can turn it off for on a night if it's going to bother you. But because this cab is the coldest place, you can blow the heat into the cab, and you've got one setting or you've got two settings. So you've got fan speed 1 and fan speed 2. There's one fastest fan speed on that switch. You've also got some fuses in the corner here, which is your EM41 interface. So what that means is it's the fuses that cross over from the Fiat vehicle to the motorhome. So marker lights, tone electrics, fridge, 12 volt feed. If you've got any problems, that's in that fuse box there. I'll talk to you about another fuse box which controls all your motorhome appliances later on, but that is your interface between the vehicle and the motorhome. So that fuse box does have some fuses in that aren't in the main fuse box. Also in the kitchen, if you push and lift the catches, you've got large storage up here, plates, bowls and cup rack. That's for your drainer, so that can sit on the draining top or in the sink to drain your cutlery and your plates after you've washed up. Cutlery tray, storage. Some more storage here with the slide out racks for your tins and your spice jars and things. Two 230 volt sockets and your lights. Sink cover for extra chopping space. And once you get a pressurised floor, because the vehicle's being PDI'd and the workshop lads have winterised the vehicle because it's the time of year where water can start to freeze, once you have winterised it, you've got to just prime the water back through. So shut the boiler, which I'll show you how to do, and then you'll get a little bit of water, and then and a lot of air like that. Until you'll always get a pressurised flow on the cold. Start it to turn it to the hot. That's when the boiler starts filling from the freshwater tank, and you get a lot of gurgling. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's filling the boiler before it pressurises the water out the tap. Once you get a pressurised flow out of here, the water system is full and pressurised and ready to be used. And that water there is starting to get warm because it's coming through the boiler. But always make sure you fill your boiler first before you turn your hot water system on. Especially your hot water, because it is just like an element in a kettle. Without any water, you're just going to burn the element out. Located above the first locker, above the dinette in this motorhome, you do have your electric control unit 700 from Sargent Power Supply Units. So on one side you've got all your 12 volt fuses. So these are the main fuses in the motorhome. So all are listed here. So the ampage, what one fuse does, and the circuit description. So that's in there. So if you do get a blown fuse, as you've got one that's got a green light on, normally the blown fuse has a red light on, so you'll be able to see and you'll know. So you'll be able to just pick the fuse out and replenish the fuse. If If you've tripped the van, try here before you try your main site, but you can test it. If it trips out, you've got power. If it doesn't trip out, you're not receiving power. So even if you've got the vehicle hooked up, it's not the motorhome. It would be where the power's coming from. And the charger in the heating and hot water will illuminate when hooked up. If that doesn't illuminate, you've probably pushed them out. So you need to push them in for the fuse spurs to send a feed of 230 volts to the Aldi boiler for the heating and hot water system, and the charger to charge your leisure battery when hooked up. Also on this charging unit, you've got a system shutdown button, which is this black button here. So you can, that is a battery isolation switch for in the winter, but that will stop any 12 volt drain, and it'll also turn off the head unit, which is an exit head unit. So when you try to reverse the vehicle or put the radio on, you wonder why it's not working. If you've turned that off, that's why, because it will knock the radio off in the cab. Build number, all unique to each motorhome that Auto Trail build. They get issued with a build number. If you ever need any parts, quote that to an Auto Trail dealer. We'll put it into the Auto Trail system and we'll find the part that's been fitted to your motorhome. The aerial is situated next to the control unit, and it is a fixed aerial, so you can't move the aerial, but you do have a booster. So the black wheel here you can turn to boost the signal, or if it's maxed out and you're still getting interference, turn it down because it might just be interference. But that's your TV aerial booster there, and some storage in the upper lockers above your your dinette area, with 2 travelling seats this side and a fixed seat the other. So to make the dinette area into a bed, all you need to do is lift the table up, and this will clip off with the 2 clips at the back. This catch here allows the leg to fold, and you rest the table on either side here, which forms the bed base, and this infills this space. And you would use the infill cushion in the backrest into here to create the double bed. So there's an infill cushion here, the backrest would go in. It's best that you turn all the cushions upside down because you get the flatter surface to sleep on, whereas this is the leather trim and it's got the bull nose, so it's best that you turn it all upside down and you'll get the flatter surface to sleep on. You can put a sheet on, duvet, and it's far more comfortable on the backs than it is on the front, but it's entirely up to yourself. But infill cushion and backrest onto the table, and this will fill the space into the double bed. So to operate the fridge, so the fridge control panel is situated between the fridge and freezer. Press and hold to turn it on and off. When you do have it off, it's always best that you have both doors left ajar so that you can allow air circulation in and out of the fridge freezer. So what you can do is, underneath there's 2 little toggles, lift them out, they clip into here, and it allows the door to stay ajar, and it means that the air's not going to get trapped. So when you come back in a week's time, the van's not going to be smelling, because you allow an air to circulate in and out of the fridge, as they have both got an airtight seal on. However, when using, you can press and hold and turn on. If you're lucky enough to keep this at home, a few days before you go away on your trip, hook it up, allow the leisure batteries to take charge, and you can put your fridge on. And then the night before or day before, you can put your shopping in, and it'll all be down to temperature. So A stands for automatic energy selection. A, picture of a plug. The automatic feature has found that we're hooked up and always prioritises mains 230 volt. However, if I unhooked it, it would, because I've got a gas bottle on, it would switch over to gas on its own accord. Or if I was to start the vehicle, it would switch over to battery. The battery setting isn't off the leisure batteries. The leisure batteries cannot power the fridge. It's only designed for when the engine's running to send a feed back to the fridge, but it's got to be down to temperature prior to departing. So if you've been on a site and you're travelling to your next site, great. Or if you've hooked up at home, put your shopping in the night before, you're doing your trip to your first site, brilliant. It will keep your shopping nice and fresh. It won't cool it any cooler than the fridge has already been, but it'll just maintain that temperature until you arrive back on site and either hook back up or go on to gas. Automatic will automatically do that for you. However, if you go wild camping, it won't light on gas for 20 minutes because in case you have forgot to isolate your bottle and you've knocked the engine off, you're in a petrol station, you're about to fill with diesel and it's sparking where there's petrol fumes, so it will wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas. And to overcome this, you just need to press this square button and take it off A and choose the source you want manually. So there's no A, you're on gas by itself. This is your temperature, so have it on 5 when pre-chilling. When you put your shopping in, turn it down because sometimes it can be too strong. And then to stop this control panel condensing, you can turn this switch on here and it stops, because it's situated between both, the control panel condensing and freezing up. Above the fridge you do have your microwave, which is a Russell Hobbs 800 watt microwave, so make sure you're hooked up for this to work because this is not 12 volt, it will only work when hooked up. And you've got your timer here, so you can time it, or you can just press 30 seconds to work your microwave oven. So located in the back of the wardrobe is the header tank for the glycol liquid, which is your coolant for your Aldi system. So should you ever need to top it up, you can top it up by taking the nut off the top and pouring Aldi's liquid in. So Aldi, if you go on their website, you can buy it through any dealer or online, Aldi's coolant, or they recommend 5 or 6 different other companies' coolants that they will warrant for their system, which you can put in at the top. Sometimes you have to dilute it, but it tells you on the bottle exactly what to do. Best thing to do is always run it up first, because if you, as it is a expanding liquid, it will expand. You will put it on and it will go a lot higher than when it's resting, and it might be close to min. If you top it up when it's closer and it's off, you'll be well over the maximum mark. So always run it up, expands just like your engine coolant, and then you'll be able to know if you need to top it up or not. It's recommended that every 5 years you get the liquid drained and completely refreshed, just because with it heating up and cooling down and heating up and cooling down, over time it's going to lose some of its antifreeze properties. And it tells you there that that's when it was put in, every 5 years to change, and the spec of the coolant. So on Auto Trail models, they come with a 4G router system. So there's an aerial on the roof, which is 10 times stronger than the aerial in your phone. And this is your Hawaii router box. So you can turn it on, but what you need to do is you need to put a SIM card in the back of it. So it comes with a sample SIM from Smarty, but a lot of customers are complaining that Smarty you don't get a very good coverage. So stick with EE or Vodafone. Pop it in there, passcode's on the sticker, so you can pop that in your telly, all your iPads, all your iPhones, and 10 devices on this at any one time. By all means, you can make this mobile and take it with you for the day, but to make it signal stronger, connect it to the magnetic mount, pop your mains charging cable in from the dock, and then underneath the cover you've got 2 points. Doesn't matter which way they go, for the antenna that's on the roof. And then you can turn the dock on here. It'll say please insert a SIM because there's not a SIM in. It will tell you what network you're on and how much you're drawing from the antenna to here, and then it'll tell you how many devices are connected. And like I say, you can connect 10 at any one time. So to make the U-shaped lounge into your large bed at the back, all you need to do is slide out this section here. There's a leg, drop that down. That'll come down. Do exactly the same the other side. So this slides out, leg comes down. And then backrests go into the middle. your backrest in the middle, and that will form your bed base. But like I say, sometimes people put the backrests at the back and pull the base cushions forward and turn everything upside down to get a flatter surface to sleep on. But that is your large double bed, more like a king. So if you move the backrests at the back, you've got a lot more space. So in the washroom, your washroom light's located on the side of the toiletry cabinet. You've got a heated towel rail, but to operate the toilet you need to ensure that the pump's on. The toilet flush is from the fresh water that you've put in the van. So you press the blue button here and you get some flush. Always flush the toilet first before you use it, and then because it helps lubricate the blade. So there's a blade and there's a seal on the top of the toilet and the bottom. What you want to do is you want to lubricate the seal, and then before you use it, on the pedestal of the toilet there's a grey lever. Slide it to the right, use the toilet, flush it after use. Spray your pink in if you want to spray some pink, small amount of pink in a spray bottle, rest water, spray, flush, close the blade. You always want to get into a habit of doing this so that when the blade is closed and the cassette indicates it's full with a few green lights underneath this little diagram of the cassette, you can slide it straight out the side of the van. If that was to be open, it would be locked in and you'll not be able to get the cassette out the side of the van. That's just because we haven't had this tap on, but there is your hot water, pressurised and red hot. As you can see the steam there coming off the water on the mirror, so that is red hot, your hot water system. Push your catches in, so they're just magnetic on your shower screen, so push them in to open. Towel rail, which works for towels, put a few hangers on there if you've been caught in the rain with your coats, let them drip dry. Make sure that you don't use any harsh chemical on any of the shower or plastic anywhere in the washroom, because you will damage the finish. No abrasive or chemical or solvent products to clean this out, so just a bit of Dettol in a microfiber cloth's good enough, or some Fairy Up liquid. And when winterizing as well, you want to unscrew your shower head from the hose, because the hose has got a loop in there. Lie the hose down in the tray with all mixer taps throughout the vehicle left open. Don't leave anything closed, because you could harvest and sit water in there, which is going to crack and turn to ice and split any plastic pipes throughout the motorhome. So leave everything open, so any water that's in there has got a chance of coming out. So to winterize the boiler, which on this vehicle is an Aldi boiler, what you need to do is, located down beside the boiler is a boiler drain. So it's this little yellow tap, and this is closed at the moment as it's lying down, so it means that the boiler can hold 10 litres of cold water at any one time. You don't want it to hold the water in the winter when we are experiencing frost, because it could freeze the water, which will then damage the boiler, which isn't covered under any warranty. So what you want to do is you want to allow this out. So come into the vehicle, make sure the pump's off, lift the toggle. You'll hear the water escaping the vehicle directly out underneath the vehicle. So it'll be running out underneath the chassis. Once you've done that, you want to go around the van and you want to open the taps. Once you've opened the taps, turn the pump on and blast the water out for 10 seconds. Once you've done that, 10 seconds, turn the pump off. Don't run it on any longer, because you're going to run the pump dry and you're going to force damaging it. And next to the pump, if your pump's fitted with a filter, which this one is, you want to unscrew it, get a tea towel, because the little filter here, this little plastic cap can hold water, and you don't want that, because it can split the plastic cap if you leave it on, and then when you come to use it, you'll be needing a new pump filter, because the cap's been split because of ice. So get a tea towel, catch the water, take it all off. Once you've took it off, leave it somewhere, and then when you come to reuse the van, you can put it back on before you start filling the vehicle with water. But that needs to come off, because you don't want it to split and cause any damage. When you come to reuse it, you just flick it back down, fill the vehicle with water, close all your taps, fill it with water, turn the pump on, pressurised flow to the cold side, it'll cough and splutter on the hot until you get a pressurised flow, then the boiler is full. To operate this type of Avtex telly on the vehicle, you've got a master switch on the side here, so make sure the button is pushed in, which will then allow it to go onto standby, which is the red light. Press it once and it will come on. You go to blue. So there you are, it's come on. Every time you move site, you do have to retune the TV. And to do this, you go into settings, which is on the remote here. So settings. Down to the three dots at the bottom, which is all settings, and press enter. And then you want to go down to general and down to programs and press enter. Programs, tuning and settings is the one you want. Press enter again. Auto tuning. Antenna, because it's an antenna on the roof of the motorhome, it's not satellite and it's definitely not cable, and press next. Digital search, so digital only searching, so press enter and next. And here it's going to go so far very quick, and it'll slow down and it'll start to pick the channels up. So don't panic thinking, oh, it's going too quick, it's not picked anything up. It does slow down and it does start to pick the channels up. And then once it's picked it up, you just press done, and there you go, it is working. So it's slowing down there now at about 34%. And if you watch antenna radio and antenna digital television, it should start picking up some channels. So there you go, 58 and 1, and it'll just keep going until it's done. This telly is also smart, so what you can do is you can connect it to the internet. So you can connect it to the internet of the vehicle or your phone, and tether off your phone to use the likes of Amazon Prime or Netflix.